What is up, guys? Delboy here. So a decent fight that goes down this weekend in the Democratic Republic of the Congo between Illunga Makabu and Mike Perez. This is a cruiserweight bout between two southpaws, and I'm really looking forward to it, to be quite honest. Unfortunately, from what I see, this fight isn't going to be broadcast in the UK, which means we will have to find a copy on YouTube after it's all said and done, or alternatively find a dodgy stream online that's showing this fight. I'd love to see Box Nation pick this fight up. They have picked up fights from Africa before. I think they've picked up a couple of cards from South Africa, but I don't hold my breath and I can't see them picking this up at this late stage. But regardless, it is a good fight, and let's have a brief talk about it. The fight is for the vacant WBC Silver Cruiserweight title, meaning the winner will probably be highly ranked after this fight. And with Usyk vacating his belts, the winner could be in line to get a title shot, who knows? So there's a lot to play for here. And also, it's a bit of a loser leaves town type fight, because where does the loser go after this fight? Because, Mike Perez, he's had his trials and tribulations. He's 33 years old, and a loss at this stage of his career would probably rule him out being a world title contender again. And same goes for Makabu. Makabu, he's a bit younger at 31, but he hasn't really got a big profile. If he were to lose to this version of Mike Perez, where can he really go realistically? Especially if he has ambitions to be a world champion. If he were to lose to Mike Perez at this stage, it would be detrimental to those ambitions. So there is actually a lot at stake here, and that's one of the reasons I really like this fight. And also, stylistically, this fight should be quite good to watch. Both guys are southpaws, but Mike Perez is more of the counter-puncher, boxer-puncher type, whereas Makabu is more aggressive coming forwards. Makabu is actually quite a big puncher himself. He's got 23 knockouts in 24 wins, so he can crack. And it should make for an interesting fight. The pressure of Makabu and the sharp boxing of Mike Perez. I've got to say, in terms of skills and talent, I do believe Mike Perez is a level above. Naturally, he's a lot more talented than Illunga Makabu, but the thing with Mike Perez is his mentality and whether he fancies this fight, because in the past, as we know, sometimes Mike Perez has struggled to get motivated for certain fights. And not only that, Mike Perez, obviously he fought at heavyweight back in the day, and he fought a guy called Magomed Abdusalamov. Mike Perez won that fight, but Abdusalamov actually slipped into a coma, and he's never been the same since. And that fight weighed heavily on Mike Perez's mind, and Mike Perez never really recovered from that fight. For my money, he's not looked right since. He's not looked like the same fighter. Back in the day, Perez was a lot more, I wouldn't say more aggressive, but his punches looked a lot more powerful. He seems to have lost that killer instinct, to be quite honest with you. Since then, he's got himself in really good shape. He obviously got himself down to cruiserweight, and he looks great. He looks physically as great as he's ever looked, but mentally, to me, he just doesn't look like the same fighter. Having said that, I still believe he has the skills and talent to outbox Illunga Makabu. I think he has the ability to win this fight on points. And in fact, actually, one of my subscribers, Shah Islam, he mentioned that Gary Logan said to him that Mike Perez was one of the most talented fighters he ever saw in the gym, but he just didn't really have the dedication or motivation to reach the very top. And I've heard a lot of people say that about Mike Perez. I think Adam Booth was another guy who said how talented this guy was, but he just didn't really have the application. So the point I'm trying to make is, he's got the ability to win this fight, he's got the ability to outbox Makabu. It's just whether he can get his head right on the night and, stick to a game plan, stick to his boxing, and it's whether he can do enough, be active enough to win a decision away from home. Like I said, he's fighting in Makabu's home country, so you'd imagine that he's got to do a lot to win a decision. And given Mike Perez's nature, given his history, can we really bank on that? I'm not so sure. Maybe Makabu's aggression, maybe Makabu's come forward style, maybe his work rate will offset the superior technical ability of Mike Perez. I think this fight's a hard one to call. If it was just down to pure ability, I would pick Mike Perez in a heartbeat, but with Mike Perez, there are other things you have to take into consideration. I mean, if it was just down to pure talent, Mike Perez wouldn't have lost to Bryant Jennings, and he wouldn't have had a draw on his resume against Carlos Takam. So despite me believing in Perez's talent, despite me liking him as a fighter, I just can't count on him to pull it off. I can't count on him mentally, and I believe the work rate, the aggression of Makabu should see him through here, maybe on points. But it's a good fight. It's an intriguing fight. Both guys have good power also, so maybe there could be a knockout. Aggressive guy versus counterpuncher. Could be some fun moments, but yeah, I'm going for Makabu to win this fight. Share your thoughts below. Peace.